The date is the 11th of October 2023. A dark day, clouds gathered over part of the country. A day all human activity ground to an abrupt halt. On this day, Mepe was swept away by flood water. A quiet town has now become a national epicenter of tragedy, and for anyone living in a low-lying area, disaster awaits. Of all weather-related natural disasters, floods are the most widespread and the deadliest. They have the power to bury cities and towns, decimate farmlands, damage infrastructure, ruin livelihoods, and prevent access to essential public services. On September 15, 2023, the Volta River Authority VRA began a controlled spillage of the Akonsombo and Bong dams to drop the rising water levels in the dams. On any ordinary day, this spillage would have gone unnoticed. The heavy rainfall this year, particularly within the Volta River catchment area, resulted in the rapid rise in the water level of the Akonsombo Dam. With the reservoir exceeding the maximum level of 276 feet, VRA activated Stage 3 spillage per their emergency preparedness plan. The consequence of this measure was the flooding of almost all communities along the lower Volta basin, and the people were left to bear the brunt of the harsh reality of the spillage. It wiped nearly everything in between. By many accounts, Mepe suffered the worst. Over 12,000 people were displaced.
Akonsombo spillage, and it started little did we know that it will cross a stream. From here, there's a stream, a source here, that crosses the main road and then created a whole river. My house is down. I have 6 children with a woman, we are all living at Baton now. And then most of our people here are living outside because their buildings are down, their properties have been submerged, economic activities have been affected, businesses are down, and a whole lot of problems that we are having here.
This is Mepe before the dam spillways were opened. A vibrant town with a lot of activities to offer. A place that exudes joy and happiness to its visitors. A town of rich cultural heritage. Mepe is advantaged by its location along the enthralling Volta Lake, which provides its residents and visitors with an unobstructed view of the stunning beauty of nature. The serene and peaceful atmosphere of yesterday is now replaced with destruction, pain, anguish, and loss of hope. The reality of the effect of the Akonsombo Dam spillage is unimaginable. Families have been displaced, farm products and farmlands destroyed, and properties submerged. The tiniest hope for survival is lost.
Eta mio kataminya na nakoshe hako vala esheva blog bososwale eta na wontone igbo ha mata gobe yeye ni avecho yona nako yela do o shrole shime ko kulu plego nya gbelikpli nye blo wo kata wo shishiem medive no va pele minti ne shemiela ne mio ha mia tro mia gate awo gamana nukuno avane mi be domaga wu
ndem fo ma va gblem ko te fe oktafi o va nyeshi enya gblem ki ma tre ma hu agbele kura me te hu agbele ko ede fu agbele nyo oktafi o shito ma di agbele gble di ebligle ke vivi to la neti kuli mango ya shi do fi la egblem gede na mi ade ku na enji walo government na ta parliament be mi o han la mi ata agbado mi no pe na mi te dogi mi lu chulo ha at least mi ga je mo chi kwa mi to mi a force mi ro ki ayi
ye oho omu ati ogbele ga yo ogbele le be mi agbugbo aga ajagbagba putani aga diga aga jela hola mi la dibe no kwele mi unu atu hona mi no tu hona mi boy wadi kapla le bia na mi akọ start business.
Rescue efforts were in top gear, often risking their own lives in the process. The heartbreaking stories of the flood victims are truly distressing. Mepe echoes with the cries of the aged. Their voices, feeble yet determined, rise like a chorus of broken dreams. They called out for help. The flood had taken more than their homes. It had stolen their dignity, their memories, and their sense of security.
Kami denwa ado ka pagato aloha wochitoma mio nudu bli kutoko kuli mio makotoku ma aso mio ntin dodo ha o ha chitoma
o hota mumu o hota le ne ko nyanku mako tanyo kata o mufio eta da kumachi de jobola gie wo le sie magale halako ta le ne ko chele mi tutu ba lo tutu ho va fo khla o ha ko be o ma va le vovon ta ajabe mi aliekpo e kamicho mi le ji vu kafe mi fa dogie ale na nya homu makpo ho da kai galama halakawi e ko makko helegie.
The surging waters of the flood had no mercy on those who were miles away from the hotspots. They were unsuccessful in salvaging anything. Apea Mefa Nukbui and her family are evaluating their lost property. They currently live in this temporary space until assistance arrives. The extent of the destruction is now dawning on the people months after the flooding.
Nindudu makibli gaza agblonu o mi kono do ha mi ha wakata wuchi ehie mapio abemo de gawo da kaka fi ho kata tamu ayro ho jemi ejinya te kono no mala boboewo kusha minya nuka tututu ogamila kafi mi akpon mi andudu mo pe Devastation ha le miesi enu mi anana wano dodo ha aganya ha ba fu de fifie eta jidudu ona kpele mi enti na wa sami koko popo mi afifafa.
The Volta Regional Director of Agriculture, William Mepe, painted a grim picture of the devastating impact of the floods on the people of the Volta region.
Over 6,740 farmers have been affected. 80% of them are males and 20% female. Rice, which we pride ourselves in as a region, has been seriously hit by this. We have over 470 hectares of rice affected by the floods, over 2,500 hectares of cassava fields, maize 2,000 hectares, tomato 20 hectares, onion and shallow 60.7 hectares, okra 260 hectares of okra fields have been submerged, and pepper around 40 hectares. We are looking at about 50,000 metric tons of various crops that have been affected by this.
Daniel Maube Jr., a resilient fish farmer, set out on his entrepreneurial venture with a loan. The river, which had always been his friend, became dangerous during the flood. His fishing nets and cages, once full of fish, now lay useless. Daniel recounts his story of struggle and loss.
That very day, on the 11th, when the thing started, myself and my team, we were going about that morning helping some friends and relatives to relocate from the lower level areas to somewhere around my house and some other places. But somewhere around 11 p.m. in the night, the water came around our place. Because we didn't imagine how the rise would be, we just came to safeguard the ponds, anchor them very well that they won't move out. When we saw that the disaster started, by then it was too late to even come here to say we are coming to do any correction or safeguard anything. As a matter of fact, I have about 32 cages, 10 filled with matured fishes. And as I speak now, I have about 5 or 6 are the only ones left now. Majority of them have been carried away by the water, including the fishes, the net and everything. And the cost of one cage, if you're estimating together with the content of fishes in it, will be around 30,000 Ghana cedis. And we've lost about almost 20 plus of that.
Daniel requests support rather than pity to facilitate the revival of businesses. With every fish that is lost, there lies a guarantee of abundance. He is not seeking miracles, but simply an opportunity to cast their nets once again.
We've heard from the news that the World Bank has released some money for the fish farmers to pick up their businesses, but till now we've not heard anything. Myself, I made some few calls to the Director of Agric in the Northtown Assembly, but till now nothing positive has yielded. To the Fisheries Commission as well, we've not had any report from them. They just tell you they're on the grounds and they are working, but till now nothing positive has happened. So for me, I think we are not seeing anything positive as of now, as captured in the budget, as there have been money allocated and all those things. Nothing much is shown on the ground. I think when the issue happened, the focus was on how livelihood would be maintained or sustained by the indigenes. Fine, we have fought that to some extent, but nobody has even raised any question, any alarm or any answers to we the businessmen and women who have lost our livelihood and source of income. So we are still looking up, hoping that there will be other entities, individuals, organizations, benevolence and NGOs who can come to our aid and help us. Some of these monies we pumped into this business were loans taken from financial institutions. And in as much as this has happened, the interest still accumulates.
Floods have the potential to inflict enduring harm. The loss of belongings and means of livelihood can result in financial instability and have a detrimental effect on mental well-being. Meet Mr. Akacha Agbanu and his wife, Mercy. Despite being 79 years old, Mr. Akacha has dedicated himself to constructing a 6-room home for his family, driven by an unwavering sense of responsibility and love. His vision extends far beyond his own lifetime. He dreams of leaving a lasting legacy where his wife and children will always find shelter and security within those walls. This selfless act brings him an immense sense of peace. Unfortunately, everything Mr. Akacha has worked so hard to build has been devastated by the recent flood. Given his age, the task of rebuilding now seems like an insurmountable challenge.
Hafination of Adogie, the Cogrobe Magic Union. Alabe, a share of Woodua, will be Mia Nukajo. Covachomi, call me a short time have a chomi as Audo Dome. It any ever the food here, Numagua, Mian Camia Miao. Share of Covachomi is Recaco, Galapio, Catapio, Vai. Abe wanama evanya kuhe tototomita ale ojebe ne mia fomie na nalowe me tencho inu katan ke fisie e na hie do no o cho ohoe eglotro gba ho na eshivai mata nonu ikumi ata wojere o eta jebe na sijo tami sijo vai le luta hoye me ne mia noe apotole ba fami be hola ila kwenemi gakele meme la ejebe ne mi adogo la eme nya dogo le xɔ me le mi ma ihe nye ta mi kpɔ gi eme do la kaƒe ne ma trɔ agatu xɔ ke wɔ le gi wɔ fie kaƒe mi kpli vinyɔwo miata nɔ me enya agba ema ko nye taɖu gã ne nye kpli nye aƒenɔ kpli ɖeviwo katã mi ta mo blu ŋuti mɔ kadzi mi ato kaƒe atatu xɔ ke exɔ ke wòanyɔ ke miata va nye xɔmenɔla aganɔ aƒie me le gi hã.
His wife, burdened with sorrow, is incapable of providing comfort. The flood's merciless currents have swept away not only their home, but also the familiar rhythms of their lives.
Na devio ba school yi wo ba New York bre fi fifi la nya teƒe ketiba dzi mlɔ mi le nye matress wo mi tsɔ ɖeke ta ketiba mi kpi devio katã mi le dzi mo vɔ ame fa mi hã na mi teƒe kaƒe mi le dɔdɔ ye ma srɔ̃nye gbɔ be ena mi ŋkeke be miakɔ dzo le gama vɔ ŋkeke hã mi le tame bu tso ŋuti be ɖe ne ŋkeke de ɖe devio be school fee hã ele mi le xexe ge kaƒe miawɔ xɔma ka ɖeviwo be school fee ɖe ka dzi mi le hã ka yiyiwo na mi hã mi le ŋgblẽ ma katã de ta nɔ fie be to kuku ɖeɖe me kpekpele ŋu ale le miata wɔ ne mi le xɔ gome la ke ne miakpe le mi ŋkekewo na mi ɖe ne mi gada vo le ame na xɔ mi miada vo le dzi o ke miawɔ le wo se dzi ne etsɔ la mi gahia ne kpekpele ŋu ale tso gbɔ la ne wòata kpe le mi ŋu.
Mr. Agbanu and his family have experienced a profound shift in their lives. The devastating flood has permanently transformed their reality, leaving behind a landscape that will never be the same. Peter Sito, like many young men, cherished the dream of owning a house. His abode stood as a testament to hard work and aspirations. Now, what was once his cherished home lies shattered, a mere heap of debris. Peter stands amidst the wreckage, grappling with loss, his heart heavy with sorrow.
Baba hushemo no Smith chopo no Smith ejra kama ile eketa kama pobi esheba ga kenye mudungu gebi eshela tabadu giyo etam yiba no amonu lona no pepolon kunu tu kama vaku eshe etohoto ahu wona le kama le munyamalata awo tamokyo me sonku anya me dite pale tu va ku pli hom nwa ke motroba me tu po ta ma po hola ku amu je mo shoji ta bi me teto mo de ko.
An assembly member of Degome electoral area, Pythias Agbemo, had repeatedly warned residents to take precautionary measures when the spillage from the Akonsombo Dam began. Unfortunately, he could not salvage his property.
No notice was served, so we were just caught unaware of the situation. And I may say it was one Thursday when I had a call out. Some those that are living alongside the shore of the river, that some buildings were, submerged. So I have to quickly go there and see. So quickly I have to call the media to come and then report the issue. And then a week later, we experienced the same situation. And on 11th of October 2023, which within 2 hours, the whole town was flooded.
The Manklalo of Mepe, Kwesi Nego IV, emphasizes that this recent flood is not an isolated incident. He says Mepe has faced similar challenges in the past, grappling with the destructive force of floods.
This is not the first time that we have been flooded. The first one happened in 1963, exactly 60 years ago. That was Dr. Kwame Nkrumah's time as a president. During the construction of the dam, engineers said that by error, they pushed the river towards the people at the lower Volta, which flooded our mothers and fathers at that time. So clearly, VRA did not learn anything. They could have learned from what happened in the past. You know, the people at the lower Volta has sacrificed a lot for Ghana and other African countries who rely on Ghana for electricity. And so, if nothing, the towns of Mepe should have been given a free electricity just to compensate them for the sacrifices that they have made for the whole country and other African countries to have light.
The Manklalu of Mepe is blunt in his assessment of the current situation.
VRA works with intelligence. They know the volume of water they receive each year, and they had information as to the amount of water, the volume of water they will be receiving from the northern region. And also, they know that they will be receiving water from the Bugri Dam, that is Burkina Faso, of which they could have opened the gates as at June for a gradual spillage into the sea. But they held the water until the dam was full. When it threatened the dam, that was when they were forced to open the gates. VRA did not warn us that they were going to spill, and so our people should relocate to anywhere. We had short notice, which nothing could be done. When the water was coming, or when the river was coming, that was when we were informed that we are receiving water. And so there's nothing we could do. Plans were not put in place. Structures were not put in anywhere for our people to evacuate or relocate to. That is why I'm saying that they intentionally flooded us, because this flood could have been prevented or could have been avoided. Because if they had opened the gates as at June for a gradual spillage, it wouldn't have flooded anywhere.
Efforts to elicit a response from the Volta River Authority VRA regarding their perspective on the situation have been met with disappointment. Despite attempts to engage them, their silence persists. In the wake of this devastating disaster, the government, under the leadership of President Nana Akufo-Addo, made a significant gesture by visiting Mepe. This act of solidarity demonstrates their recognition of the gravity of the situation and their commitment to standing alongside the affected residents during this challenging time.
I came here because Ghanaians are having difficulties and are suffering. And it is my responsibility to try and help. Because if it's a question of counting who votes for me and who doesn't vote for me, I shouldn't be here, because you don't vote for me. One of the things that the Ministry of Agriculture, the Ministry of Finance, and the Office of the President is going to be working with the District Assembly is to decide exactly the nature of the support we have to give to you when the water has gone away, to enable you to do the farm.
I have a Minister of Finance, Minister of Agri, President of Office, Waja Dodo Gome, Benjamin Chie, Jola, Nukamia Wakopere, Agredelau, Akpailau.
The Interministerial Committee established in response to the devastating flood in Mepe has been tasked with addressing the aftermath and implementing relief measures. However, despite the promises made, tangible progress on the ground remains elusive. The affected residents continue to grapple with the consequences of the disaster, and their patience wears thin as they await meaningful action. The urgency for effective coordination and swift implementation cannot be overstated. The eyes of the community remain fixed on the committee, hoping that their efforts will translate into real change and alleviate the suffering of those impacted.
This Mepe Township is the most affected community in terms of this flood issue. It's like we have been neglected. Seriously. Are we also not Ghanaians?
The president was here. He assured us. The finance minister was here. he assured us. Other ministers also came, but I think they are all promises. There has not been any action yet, because when the finance minister came, he promised that he came with relief items worth 2 million Ghana cedis. To my office and Mepe Development Association, we have not received anything to that effect. VRA told us that they have supported NADMO with 20 million Ghana cedis. We have not seen anything. We have not received anything. All the help that we have gotten are from individuals, churches, organizations, Muslim communities, NGOs, and sympathizers. They have been of help to us.
The District Coordinating Council, in collaboration with the National Disaster Management Organization, NADMO, has been actively engaged in providing relief to the victims of the devastating flood. In response to the crisis, designated safe havens have been established as relief camps.
A lot of challenges. The demands of the people, people not having food to eat, people complaining of not getting mattresses to sleep on. You know, the flood, though people were displaced, there are people who have completely lost their farms. And despite the fact that we were dealing with those who were displaced actually and are in the safe haven, some living with their families, friends, those who have completely lost their farms, and they are also complaining. They also complain that they do not have food to eat because they have lost, though they have not lost their homes, they have lost their farm produce, their crops completely lost. And so they have also started complaining. And so it is no longer a matter of those who are completely displaced, but those who are even in their homes now because they have lost their farms. That is the bigger task, issue now that we are looking at.
The relief camps face critical and urgent challenges, including the absence of electricity and water, which make it difficult for residents to meet their basic needs.
Fifia miame 30 et la fia me blaton 30 et la fia. Ye kaptua ama 15. Kadigbe le khwa me vome la ko ekwayo. Tane za do atepe ano viviti me pa. Uko politank ava vo. Umoko umova kpo wo chi anami ado. Ta etinya fu dem vo won to lo piota. Wa ko kodina mi za zan wiwi. Aso an vudu adele. Tepe ami afa nyonu okuna.
O denkule mi enticho menye gi oje mi awa no nkio aje no awo tefonemi ko atuko nemi ya ba no ge na ti jawe fila no e ti la chogoma alu le fude nemi eta government ene jagba na trust le nu oti le kasia global end of next month la nya dule gi mi ai no tefe wa woni wa no save wo gi
kemi le school home la pakinu ma okli gboton mo nye ma chati trele gi amalo na ne buleji nye fie kra 20 million yeta na bede on va de le fudalami ele be ale ne shie de mi pakinu wo kaka kasi mi gava school home ha pakinu if yesu sweto nye ki ova gro na be mi avagi o cho fie yin de ka ko va to mi be obe mi aju vagi nya ta pa no ele fudalami.
The authorities hold a different viewpoint. According to their stance, they are said that they have indeed provided essential services to the relief camps in Mepe.
We have supplied and now a lot of solar lamps to them, and water is not an issue. They have pipe-borne water there. We have also some polytanks there. Initially, when the water situation became a serious issue because the water was contaminated, you had tankers from VRA, NADMO supplying water all the way from Dawa areas to take it up for the water needs of our people.
And then later, you saw that the pumping station at Aveime, the community water, also got damaged because it was flooded. It was completely submerged in water. And so VRA, we thank VRA, they quickly intervened and constructed another pumping station for them. So that station is supplying good drinking water. The 3 district water, community water is also revamped, and it's also supplying water to these people. And so, we've been supplying regularly some sachet water to all these people through the donations from various stakeholders. And so, the water issue has been addressed.
Healthcare is also a significant challenge, and access to medical attention is crucial. Immediate attention and coordination from relevant authorities are required to address these gaps. The declaration of a state of emergency could have prevented the dam spillage's disastrous consequences. Early evacuation planning, streamlined resource allocation, better coordination among various agencies, clear communication channels, and legal authority are among the benefits of invoking a state of emergency during natural disasters. Such action empowers authorities to take swift and decisive action, minimizing the risk to human life and property. There are complaints about a lack of clear communication from the Volta River Authority VRA, the authority responsible for the dam water spillage. Did VRA anticipate the destruction brought on by the spillage of the dam?
VRA usually every year has been engaging with our people, the assembly and the various stakeholders. We did a simulation exercise here in Northtown regarding the possible spillage. And so the assembly was duly notified, and the various stakeholders, assembly members, and authorities that needed to be aware, are duly aware of the possible spillage.
We were not given prior notice before this issue came and then destroy our livelihoods. So this is it. If VRA should have do proper engagement on this issue, we don't think some of us will be facing these problems.
How we build, where we live, and how we power our lives back are the questions the people of Mepe are asking. It is not just the visible markings on the walls and houses reminding them of the destruction, but the scar of trauma remains indelible forever. What can we learn from this spillage, and how can we best prepare for the uncertainties of the future?
If our engineers could be tasked to do something about the water coming up, if they could harvest it, if they could create a different dam upstream or a way of redirecting the water to a different place, that is also something we must think about as a country.
We have engineers, we have architects, we have planners. They are private institutions or private groups, of which if we engage them, they can come and do a survey. They can analyze the situations on the ground, our land and everything. They can help us, advise us as to how we should build, where to build, how to block the river where the flood came through. They can advise us as to how government or VRA should block or have a river defense to prevent future floods from entering.
Mepe's rebirth is not just about brick and mortar. It's about resilience, unity, and a shared commitment to a safer tomorrow. Lessons etched in pain and loss will guide the reconstruction, ensuring that the mistakes of the past are not repeated.